So did you guys all like, how do you feel? Is it like very difficult or okay or simple? Mm-hmm. But I guess you all get the idea, right? So we just let's start. Is it okay to after class? Okay. We still have quite some material to cover, so let's run with it. So you can use this reference in MDN. It's called CSS properties reference. And then when you look at the table, it's basically like on the left side is the CSS selectors, and on the right side, no, CSS properties, and then on the right side is like the way how you write it, like in JavaScript. So it basically just cavalcates everything if you look at it. So it means all these things is under the style property that you can change. Is it understandable? If not, just let me know. Okay. So what we did before was like, yeah, what we did before was like the dot style, dot something, and then this something you can use all these properties to change to be replaced. It's like there's like, for example, like letter spacing, line height, list style. Those ones shouldn't be something you're not familiar with, right? And we also are exposed to this inner text. And now as we talked before, this inner text basically is just a text node that is that is almost at the end of like the tip. Of course, you can also like even in the inner text. I mean, when not inner text. Okay, in the text part, you probably sometimes would also have a span, and then that's another branch, and then it goes on. But at the end is usually like text or empty. And so we know how to get elements. There are two extra get methods that I want to introduce to you. You don't need to like master it for now. You just need to know that they exist. It's called query selector. Also query selector, but there are two. So if we look at query document.query selector, so what we just did is get elements by ID or get elements by class name or get elements by tag name, and they all like they are all like just look through the whole document and then use the information you gave it, right? You gave it what the information you gave it is one, either ID, class name, or tag name, or similar, and then you give it the value. It can be like the naming, you give it to the ID, or the naming, you give it to the class name, or just the tag name, right? And then here we have a query selector. It does more or less like similar things. So if you look at the syntax, basically it also does document.query selector, and then give it selectors. The selectors is just the value, okay? But the difference is, if you look at the example, so here we have two diffs, right? And we have ID. This is super weird. Okay, let's ignore this one. Okay, look at this one. So if you look at this one, then you see like the var l equal to document.query selector, and then inside of the parentheses, you have the string, but it's still different from the string you put in, right? There's a dot, and the dot means it's class. And then so you also have, so we can do what we can do is like, for example, document dot query. Okay, let's just still like use a variable to save it. So let's say paragraph document dot query selector. So this way, we look through the document, and then we do the query selecting with this value, and this dot means class. So it's supposed to give me like this one and this one because they're both like class. they both have this the same class name, the paragraph, and we can just quickly verify it. Okay, too many noise. I will just like remove all these. Okay, so let's see. Yes, thank you. Yes. Okay, so it gives me, you see, it gives me that element I was looking for. Yeah, because this is query selector. So there's another one. So which I just wrote another one. It's called query selector all. From the name of it, it says like all of something, right? So I expect this one will give me an array. Let's just check it. So you see here, it gives me a node list. This is also something that you will need to like remember like later on, but now it doesn't like it's not like the most important, but it does give me an array, right? It looks through the whole document and then give me everything it found, right? So basically, this is kind of an alternative for you to write. You can also you can just skip. You can write query selector or query selector all instead of like get element by ID or get element by tag name, class name. The only difference is like you need to some kind of like specific syntax for that. So we just did the class name.
But it's making the same, but like it's like the same function. Almost. It's just
Almost.
like the way of using it is different and
Yeah. Like for our current purpose, it's the same, but it will be slightly different when you are trying to loop through because the former one, the get elements blah blah blah, returns you elements, HTML elements, but like query selector or query selector all, they return you node list, and node list can be iterated. So later on, since it can be iterated, it has its own methods. But this you don't need to know now. You just need to know like it's still different. And so we just did with the class names, and then we also have tags. We also have IDs. So we even have attributes, which is like even more like a bit annoying. But so how do we do the ID with this one? It's basically okay. Let's just okay. What is the ID I have? Okay, title. No, but I want to lock it out. You don't want to write it 2 times, right? Okay, so let's just look at this first. Okay, see here, I get my title. And if you look at the syntax, I give it, what's it called, hash, instead of dot. So this means it's ID. This means it's class name. It's actually the same as like when you're writing CSS, you also do this, right? So it's the same. And then so when you do the tag, document dot, so this is supposed to also give me So here, this is my H1. So basically, it works like now if you look at it, it works actually pretty like straightforward, right? And you just need to remember when you do query selector, it always returns you one, the first one you found in your DOM tree. And if you do the query selector all, even if it only finds one, it gives you an array. Straightforward? Yeah. Or question?
I think it's fine. If I want to select one specific paragraph, specific class, so for that I have to query all. Then I have to write like paragraph index like that.
You can do this. You can do the same thing as we just did with the get element. You can also just let's say you find this parent first, and inside of this parent you do another query. It's the same. So this is a hard target. It works on. Like get element by something. You always the first thing you give it is the target. Those ones are all going to look into the document, the whole document. And then if you give it, for example, do I have any parent? Okay, don't have a parent. Okay, let me just get the parent. Where's my parent? Hmm? Okay, so now I have the parent out. And I want to find my paragraph in the parent. So what I do is that, sorry, good catch. It's dots. Oh no, it's a hash. Because like here is ID, so I need to give it a hash. And I say, okay, let me just comment out all these things. So I want to find my paragraph. It's a class. Okay. Okay, see? So I just found this specific paragraph. So and also like the query selector, you can do something really crazy, and we can see in the, you see here, it's super crazy. What you're doing is like you find this tag, you find the div, and then find the div with this class and this class, and inside should be having a input that has attribute name equals login. So you basically you're chaining a lot of like conditions, and then find the stuff you want. But of course, usually you don't do this because you cannot remember. But what I'm saying is that you can do a lot of things to get the stuff from the DOM. This one you don't need to learn now. I mean, like I don't do this. It's kind of crazy. Okay. We need to move on. So now we know how to get stuff from the DOM tree. How to create stuff for the DOM. Because you sometimes you might want to like create, like you have a UL or your OL, you want to create lists, right? But imagine that is a to-do app, and then some user is going to add some like some text in your list as a list item. You first need to create a list item, right? But good one that you remember you can push. So we will need to, yes, and we are doing this very soon.
So for your information, like you don't always need to create a div in HTML. You can create the same div from JavaScript on the go. Like sometimes maybe you can just you want to create an element that you have to use it. Then you don't have to go to the HTML and then write okay div blah 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 element li or ul. So you can just grab element and then you can create a div inside that parent. Okay. So that's how we
So I just quickly get the documentation from MDN. It says like in an HTML document, the document.createElement method creates the HTML element specified by tag name or some unknown if tag name is isn't recognized. So by principle, you always give it tag name because you want to create a tag, right? So we can just try out, and let's say we want to create. What do we want to create? Okay, so var ul equal to document dot create. What do I need to pass in again? So ul, right? Okay. So now it doesn't do anything because we just created and then it's not in our tree yet, right? It's just in our JavaScript. So we need to like put it like somewhere on the tree. So a simplest thing I want to do, I would like to do is like, well, let's say we just give it to some parent as a child, okay? And how do we do that? You are thinking too much in JavaScript, girl.
Just think in DOM right at the moment.
We need to think about we have a tree and then we want to grow something on top of it, right?
Yeah. And also like when you create an element from JavaScript, that means you are going out of the DOM tree, right? You are creating different elements outside the DOM. So that means you have to take that element and then put it on the DOM tree, right? So that's what Joey is going to do.
So there are many like other methods, but like now currently we just learn some basics, and so we just create one, and then we want to give it to some parents, and the method, so lucky I know it, is called append child. Does it make sense? This naming is appending the child, right? So let's try out. Wait, the UL also doesn't do anything. Okay, let's just give it a background color at least. Okay. Wait, it doesn't have even height. Okay, let's give it a height. So I'm going to do a bit of styling, so you know it exists. So, wait, how do I do it again? Right? Okay, so let's just append it to this parent because we have already a parent. What? You will not see anything because it's here. Can you see it? It wasn't. I didn't put it. I didn't give it background. Okay, let's just give it a background.
So now select the background color so that you can see that it has the height of 100 pixels and.
Okay, so if you look at my previous DOM tree, I have only under the parent, the div parent, there's only a p tag and a footer, right? So I'm appending the child to this parent, so I expect to see it. And I'm gonna refresh, and you see, boom. I mean, like exactly as hell, but it's there. You see? So this is how you kind of like manipulate your DOM tree without like writing the HTML or CSS. You're doing it the JavaScript way. And there are many other methods that you might be interested.
Can you come back to the code?
The code?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we made it and we mentioned to the parent, and the parent is like the p tag, right?
No. The parent is this one. You see, document.query selector. Yeah.
Yeah, you have. When you see the has, it's.
I was wondering why it's showing up after the folder.
It's when you append, it's always at the end of the children list. Okay. There are so many like other methods, and I don't think we're going to cover all.
Yeah, you have to go and explore. Okay, so when you go and explore, like go home, try to see what we did, and then if you have question, you put it on the Slack.
Let's read a bit of code. Okay, so I have a function here called change logo, and then first thing, what is this thing? What does it do? The second line.
We selected the element by ID in the document.
Mm-hmm. And then second thing we haven't learned yet, but
Giving source.
yeah, we given a source attribute to the logo, which is this this element we found, right? And then what about this one? Yes, we are creating an h1 tag because it says like document.create element h1, and I assign it to the variable called new title. What about this line?
New title to the
We are
in HTML. Like we're changing the title of the HTML file.
we're actually changing the inner HTML, and which is happen to be just a string. You can also just put it like some p tag and then with some content is also valid. Well, what we learned before is inner text. You see, I have an inner text somewhere here. Inner text somewhere here. So if I just inner text only, you can only give it string because it's text. It's expecting a text node. But inner HTML expect anything. It can be HTML. It also can be a text node because they all considered as a valid HTML. So here is changing the inner HTML to a string. When it's just created, it doesn't have any like inner HTML. So here you can see also see it as like it assigns a value to the inner HTML. And then what does this do? Yeah. So the document body will the last child of the body will be this new title, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's basically like so when I call this function, it will just look up my whole DOM tree to find this element, and then give it like a source, and then create another like HTML h1, and then give it a title, and then put it back to the DOM tree. Okay, understandable?
How can we change? For example, now you said that as we appended the choice, so it's gonna be added to the end of the body. So how can we change the place of it? For example, if I want it to be in the middle, not at the end.
Then you need to find the exact like position of it. Like for example, when I know that I want to, usually you wouldn't say I want to put it as a second child. You usually say that I want to put it after my first child, which is for example, which has the class name first child, and then you just give it like kind of like a sibling. I don't think we will go so deep because this is your homework. You need to do the research. We need to know the basics, so you know you can do all these things. It's just a tree. You can cut off something. You can put back something, and then all these methods are on MDN. Okay, we are really running out of time. What is the time like?
Your computer gives a really not.
Yeah, if we're going to go with this time, you guys cannot eat dinner.
I was looking at that time, that's why we missed the lunch. God damn it. Fix your one.
Okay. Anyways, we have another like piece of code that we can read. Let me just grab it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just say.
So we covered STM like the DOM manipulation with the get element, insert element, element manipulation with the inner HTML, right? With the inner text. So it's kind of the same thing, right?
Wait,
so
I'm
maybe
having.
we can go through
Where's the?
go through the email page. Are you ready?
Okay. Okay, let's go through the event because otherwise we will not be enough time. So we just so we just went through like how to manipulate your DOM. Like currently we are doing it completely manually, right? It's like you're just writing JavaScript for styling or anything. But then the most case we don't want to like do this kind of like manual thing, and we either expect like something happened within some time, or we expect some interaction, some user interaction that would trigger like this kind of thing. You see, like sometimes you click a button and then the background changes, right? and that's something we need to know. Is something called event. So, and events. So basically, when the page when the page loads, it first paints. It paints everything. Means like renders like everything on the page. And then second thing is like it starts to listen to events. So when your page is already like there, you see it, everything's ready. Then the page doesn't just I'm retired, I already gave you everything. It still stands by. It listens to all kinds of events that is like happening. And the events, what can be events? Can you think of any? Mhm. 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 Yeah, like a form, you sometimes like just submit the form, right? Um, and also like when you are on the smartphone, there's also like touch event, right? And also sometimes you have some script that is doing something when the page is loaded, right? So there are many types of event, and we're going to cover some basic ones. So let's start doing it. When we talk about the events, like most of the time, like when you're interacting with the page, most of the time you're probably like clicking the button, right? So let's create a button for a very ugly page. Okay, so let's see, it should be there. Okay, let me just remove some code, otherwise the. Okay, let's just leave it there. Okay, we have a button. It's giant. So since we have a button and we know that this button is going to trigger some event, what do we do?
We select and give this one.
What?
We select that button and then we give.
Yes, yes. So we know that this button is going to trigger something, but the page doesn't know, right? There's no script that is related to that. So we're going to first find that button. The what? The what?
Get element tablet.
Since this is going to give me an array, so I need to like index in it, right?
You always do with the array, the collection of arrays. So you like when something doesn't work, then you just check whether it's element or elements, right? So in elements, you use the bracket notation.
So
right?
yeah. So imagining that we don't know how to add events, let's try. So what we know is that like we need to have some event listener, right? So let's just check the event listener. Does it make sense to call, like the naming event listener to you guys? It doesn't. I mean, for in the beginning, also for me, it doesn't. But you will get used to it. So it's basically like some events going to happen, and then you need some people, just stand by and listen to it. And then when it happens, it doesn't tell you, but it does something. Okay, so we found the event listener, and then we are here, and then MDN is giving us some example code, which is great. See, so it's doing the same thing. First of all, it tries to find this button. It does document.get element by ID because it's only one, so it doesn't need to indexing it. And the next thing is that it assign and it is doing something. You see, is button element dot add event listener. It's a method. It's a method that exists in like all the DOM elements. You can even add a event listener to a div, to anything. But you just expect the event you give it in as the first parameter. So in here, it's a click event. There are many other events. Is like you see, like there's a long list. Some board never used before, input never used, blur, click, and like focus, input, key down, key press. Like those are all like the event that can be listened. Okay. So after you give it like the type of event that it needs to listen, you give it a function. I mean, like we call it. I mean, technically we call it callback. It's like when I'm done something, you call me back. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why it's a function that is inside of a function. It's calling. It's like this function. You see, this is a method, but method is actually looking just like a function. There's no too much difference, right? It takes in parameters, right? And here, the first argument is like click, which defines the type. And then second parameter is like what? It's a function. But you don't call it this as a function. You call it callback. It's like if you first call me, and then you call me. Is it understandable?
In this case, this means that when you click something, this function will shoot.
Yeah. So it will be triggered.
No,
You will be triggered.
In this function, we have parameter event when we just have alert.
Because this is like kind of a mandatory. It's using this event. It's using this event object to do something. Because for example, when you have a form, and then you need to use this event to prevent default, and then you call it. So this event is actually, it just includes everything that is related to the event that just happened.
And what in this case we don't have a parameter inside the function.
Here?
We just do alert. Yeah.
If you're going to alert something, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But then when you want to like do something with this event, then you need it. So it's just like kind of like convention. You put it there, and then later on you can use it.
Yeah.
Because you don't always know that you don't need that event, and it's also rare that you don't need the event. You need the value, for example, sometimes of it.
So this event is attached with the button. So you see the click. So that's an event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what the function event means. Okay, so you can use with the functions this event property that's attached with it. Like sometimes it can be click, so we can get the mouse hover and everything, like the what do you call X position, Y position, to do some like big
I think for him,
manipulation, okay?
the confusion probably is like it doesn't exist in the function body.
In this function, why
Yeah.
that parameter?
Yeah. It's not necessary in this function exactly. Okay.
That's why like it just an attached
Yeah, I know
event.
that inside the form, for example, if we have a button, then we have to connect that button with that form. So then we write the parameter in that
Okay.
function.
Yeah.
So
In this case, I don't know why.
let's just try this example. Okay, you see, when you click the button, so this click event was triggered, and then this callback is also like immediately triggered, like it's doing whatever that is inside of this callback. So far, just remember it's called callback, and it makes sense when you just think about like it's a function that is triggered in another function, and then inside of this function body is an alert, and then it's doing it exactly. Okay, so we got a general idea how to add an event listener. Let's just do it. Okay.
And then maybe you can log out that event, so what's attached with that.
Yeah. I can do that. Yes. Yeah. So let's say button dot add event listener, and click the first parameter, and then we say function event. Let's just do console log the event. Okay.
So let's see what the event is. Okay, and it's not.
I'm not going. It's super long list again, but you will see. Okay, so now we have the new page. We do this is a button. Let's just do it again so you see it happens. This is just some log I did before, and then I click, and then there's something called mouse event. You see? Can you see it? Okay, let me just move a bit to the side.
Make it a little bit bigger. And you can clear those errors.
Okay. Anyways, so you can see like there are, it's a huge, okay, not huge, it's a big object that includes a lot of stuff. So far, you don't need to understand everything here because it's not everything that is like really needed for doing a lot of stuff. But like for example, like client X, client Y means the X and Y position of the element that I just clicked on, of the event object that I clicked on, and then you have also
The type, look at the type, it's a click, the one
yeah
that
type.
you mentioned.
It's a click event. And then just a lot of like other properties. But you see, so this is the event. This is the event object that we just created. And so we want to do something more useful. So what do we want to do? Okay, so we have a UL here, and now it's pretty ugly. Let's just change it into, I don't know, like green when the button being clicked. Okay.
So when you click the button, then the background has to be changed into green. Okay.
So let's say like UL dot what? Oh, scroll. Style dot background color. Oh no, clip equal to green. Okay. So let's just, okay, let me just, okay. Boom. Now it's green. So I mean, we can put any kind of like things inside of this function, as long as just as long as you is something you expected. What do I say it? So this callback is going to do anything that you give it once this event happens. Is it understandable?
Yes.
So maybe we can do with a counter, like 1, 2, 3, when you click
Okay.
every time.
So
Maybe.
okay, let's just quickly write. Okay, let's just what's that called? I need some place for. Okay, let's just put a counter here.
There,
ID counter. Okay, so first of all, we want, what we want to do here is that we have a p tag which has ID counter, and we want to click the button and then just count up. Okay. And so first thing, what is the first thing? So first thing, we need to find that element. Let's find it. Let's find it. Okay, I just comment out. Get what?
So what is the ID?
I don't know. I already wrote it.
Help
Okay.
Joey. You guys need to help Joey.
Okay, so assuming that we already found this element, okay, and so far it doesn't have like anything. And we also want to. So when you create a counter, you need to store this number somewhere, right? It doesn't just like come out of thin air. So let's say we just create a variable called count. Okay, let's start from 0.
So we
okay?
just initialize. Here we start from 0.
And then the first thing is that like, wait. The first thing is like we need to append this this text node is still, even this number is still considered as a text node. So we want to append this one to this counter. How to do that? Counter dot append child. What's that?
Where do you have to?
Okay, so I assume now it's like doing something. Let's just like confirm, check, like trust, but check. Oh, part1 is not of type node. Ah, okay. So it cannot be just it cannot be just like that. Can it?
You
Count.
have to append some to the parent. So when
Hey,
you
this
want
parent here. Oh, no, it's a
no,
different
no,
error.
no, like
You should append the counter, not the counter.
oh yeah, append to the counter, not the counter. No?
I'm appending this count to the counter, but wait a minute. It needs to be like.
You do the count, not the counter.
Yeah, create element. Yeah.
Can I just put it 0? Actually, I'm not sure. Let me just try.
Element called like div or something like
Ah,
that. You
okay.
set that and then you add a 0 text.
No. Oh, sorry. This is not what I wanted to do. So I want to have some content in this counter, and we actually learned it. Yes, or in a text, but same. Let's just say in the text. Can I give a number? Let me see. Actually, I never tried. Okay, of course. Count is not defined. What is count?
You put it
You
inside append to the
append
counter.
the child.
Parameter count.
You
Okay, okay. So we are collectively debugging. So okay, in that case now it should be fine. So we have a counter here, you see, and we want to click the button and it counts up. So we already have also the button here, and then we also set up the event listener. So we just need to put in what should happen, right? So what should happen? So sorry, we forgot something. We didn't store this 0 somewhere. So we cannot just like do the like variable and then change the variable, right? So we need to do that. So this is what I wanted to the count to do, 0, and then we put the count here. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because this is a variable that represents this 0, basically. And what it does is that so this variable is the kind of accumulator that we're using. It's just holding up a 0, and then we wanted it to be just add 1 and add 1 and add 1 and add 1, right?
So now you're using
So
JavaScript.
let's try. So assuming that we set up right, when I click this button, it should be 1, right?
But we have to change inner HTML to count.
So
So
you are right.
yeah, counter
So we did the count plus plus, but the count we already assigned to inner text. You will not like just you're changing it after that assigning. So you will not just like affect what is assigned before. So you need to do it again. Same thing. We just assign the new count to the inner text, right? Okay. So now we should expect something happening. Oh, I'm just doing it.
or we can just assign the value of count plus plus inside the inner text. Just delete count plus plus and then yeah.
You mean I just do this?
Yeah.
And then do the contrast plus this. That's good.
You know why?
I know.
Why?
Maybe we have to write plus equal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this evaluates this count
Yeah.
afterwards.
Plus count.
So you need to do it before that, and then you will get the new number like immediately. Let's see.
Plus equal count.
Yeah.
It's the same, but yes, good point. So you see, this appears according like basically it does what we wanted to do, right? So do you get the feeling? Do you have confidence that you can do the same thing? Looking a little bit like down, but how many minutes do we have? Okay, so 12 minutes replicate what I did.
No. We still have something to cover.
We do?
Commenting in JavaScript, commenting in.
They're doing very well that way. So do you have
CSS.
problem with the commenting?
In HTML. But it's still like, do everybody knows how to comment in HTML?
Yes.
Yes.
Who doesn't know how to make comment? Raise your hand. You see, they're very good at it. Okay, let's quickly go through quickly. We do have that part? Damn, we don't have enough time.
Just go quickly.
Okay, comments.
Yeah.
So you see here, like, basically, you see, like, actually, you already saw in your classmates' homework. They are doing this kind of thing. It doesn't really do anything to your code. It basically just like make it human readable. It's like explaining the purpose of this line. And so the way to make comments is pretty easy. So this is a JavaScript way. You just write 2 slashes, right? And then in the CSS, you probably already know a slash plus asterisk, a star, and then you star slash. And then HTML, you just do this kind of like kind of like awkward face, and then the other side awkward face. That's it. That's not difficult. Writing a comment is not difficult, but knowing when to write a comment is very difficult. It's not very difficult, but slightly difficult. So imagine, Swapna had like very long block of code today, and she was explaining it. If she would like skip all the comments, write no comments at all, and she has to again read her own code again, and then try to remember why I did this. And then sometimes it took you longer time to even like understand why you did that than you just wrote it, right? So you need to write some comments for yourself, for other people in the future when you came back to this piece of code to see the purpose of the code. Instead of like, you have to like go into it every line by line and then read it. And never assume that you're writing so clean code or like understandable code. At the moment you wrote it, it's so straightforward and simple and and easy. But when give you 10 days, you come back, you either laugh about your code or you just find out doesn't make any sense, right? So always remember to when it has a little bit like unclear parts, write a comment to explain why I did this for your own sake. Okay, done. Any question about comments? No. You have some question though. Okay.
So we still have people.
We do? I didn't see it.
So like we use a lot of
Okay.
console in browser. So maybe like go further with. So, but do you guys use this console to debug your code on console? Everybody? So everybody knows, right? About this? Yeah?
So for HTML and CSS part, did you learn it? Did you learn how to like?
Yeah.
Okay, let's quickly go through the HTML and CSS part. So. What?
Debugging for HTML and CSS?
Yeah.
Okay, who said no then?
Okay, so let's still quickly go through. So when you open the console, so you at least you know how to open the dev tool, right? There's no way to do it in JavaScript to open the developer tool. You just press F12. Ah. I was asking HTML and CSS. Okay. Okay, so first of all, you open the dev tool, and then you see like there's this arrow with the square. You just click it to kind of like activate it. You see it's blue, and when it's blue, whenever you hover over your page, it's going to give you like this kind of box, right? And then let's say I think this button has some issue. So I'm going to click it. When you click it with this selector tool on, it's not going to trigger anything. It's only going to go to that element, and you see it goes to the element in this in this element tag, and then you can see which exactly is the element you want. So, and then you can see also okay, I don't have any style, so it's not going to show me. But if do I have any style anywhere? Okay, let me see. I probably have some browser style. Okay, see, I have some browser style. So if I go into, for example, this button, let's say I don't know where the button is, I just click on it. And you see, like, here are like some styles that those are the browser default style. So you cannot change it. You can override it though. So, for example, I want to say background red, and it's going to do this for me. So this is the way you do with like HTML and CSS part. Is it understandable? Okay. So, and for the for the JavaScript part, the easiest thing you can do is that you write a debugger in your code. For example, I just write a debugger here, and it's going to stop my code right here. So if I just like refresh the page, you see there's a pause in debugger. Can you see that? Here. And if you look at this, you can also see that it highlights this line where I wrote a debugger. See? And then this is called like breakpoint. It's different from breakpoint in CSS like context. The breakpoint just means like you just stop at that line of code. And with this arrow, is it called arrow? With this arrow, you can resume the script. I usually use F10 or F11. F10 will go into a block of code, and F11 will go line by line if it's like even if it's like going through a block of code. A very subtle difference, but let's use F11. It's safer. So I'm going to jump to the next line of code, and what I can do is I can hover over like this parent and see what that is. Now it's still not yet running through this line. So if we go to next line and we go back to this line, you can see it's a div with with the ID parent, and then it has all the properties it has. It owns, right? And then you go to the next line. So when it just hits the line, it doesn't execute it yet. So I usually just go to next line, and I check the previous line, and it will just give me the updated value. So let's just continue. Okay, so very soon it's going to run everything. Okay, so what? Come on. Okay, so it just ran through all the code, and then nothing like no error occurred. So we just went through. But then I also want to have another, like, for example, like I have an event listener, and I want to know if this event listener is doing the thing I want it to do, right? Again, I'm going to put a debugger here. And I expect when this click event, which is when I click this button, it's going to stop the code, right? So let's try it. Let me just refresh. Okay. So I click the button, the code is stopped because it ran into the debugger. And then where's my code?
Why didn't it stop in the?
What?
Why didn't it stop right there, like in the? Why did it go down?
It's behaving a bit weird. Okay. So it didn't really like it probably cannot like jump into the code, but we can see it here. Mm. Okay, let me see the console. Still not yet refreshed. Why is that? Okay, now it's right. Kind of. Or
I think there's error.
hmm?
Is the error console maybe that's
What do you mean? Nothing happens.
no in the JavaScript file.
What?
Yeah.
Which part?
Up in console like up I guess up
Where?
up still there. Yeah.
Mhm. Actually, let's
Yeah,
just
there's
do it
too
more like.
many parentheses.
Hmm. This is a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's showing error in up there. Yeah, but I think they're gonna just stop it.
Hmm. Okay. I think like the event for the event listener, like they don't like jump into the function body. You only just goes through it. But anyways, if you're writing like how do I say it? If you're writing the normal like JavaScript at the moment, I think you should just put a debugger. And when you run into this kind of issue, let me know. Okay? Because we also don't have time. Okay, so the homework will be posted later. And if you have any issue for today's material, just let me know. Otherwise, I hope you guys have already like some idea about what we taught today. I don't see any positive attitude. Do you get what we teach today?
Yeah.
Okay, satisfied.